Hey there, Saber friends. It's SpaceWindu here from the FX Saber forums from Imperial Royal Arms, and I have my latest custom saber all finished up for Steven, and I think it came out really awesome. This was the original drawing here of what it was going to be like. So it was a kind of a collaboration between Steven and I, where he wanted something that was like a Luke and an Obi-Wan mixed together, something like a Luke from episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So I have the sketch here of what the bare like MHS parts were going to look like here, and a little paint on them. I had this idea to do grips that lighted up, and later on it kind of morphed into grips that were going to be like RGB lit, so that they're fast changing, color changing RGB LEDs in the grips, and there are 12 of them, plus a 13th like white LED, and they scroll up and down along with the Crystal Focus LS from Plecter Labs. Just like that powers the blade to go up and down that I make. This one also powers like a bar graph, the grip section that I made, that you could see here with the outer shrouds. I wanted to check out a fat piece of aluminum pipe that I had and make like a guard for the grip there, and the buttons and the ports and stuff is how I had it in the original drawing here. And I convinced Steven to go with a copper part there, which would kind of go along with the Luke theme of Return of the Jedi. I have an Obi-Wan style pommel that's pressed up against outer shroud. So I like to do like multiple shrouds on the sabers if I can, multiple different materials and things. So we have a fat piece of aluminum, some copper, the MHS parts from the custom saber shop, which are just great. And so I'll show you how it turned out. I have the finished lightsaber here. So if you look at it from one way, like the way it would be hanging on your belt with the belt clip, it would just look pretty simple. Cylinder there for the grip, and you see the fat piece of aluminum, copper, MHS emitter here. But when you spin it around, there's some weathered, exposed grip section. So it's pretty cool when the effect starts there. This is just like the pulsating, like weighting thing that the Crystal Focus LS does on the different fonts, and it's gonna start to blink on the certain number of the sound font that this is. Most likely, it'll be blinking. Have the R.I.C.E port in this fat piece of aluminum here, and it has a little bit of a brass accent. This type of R.I.C.E port. For the real-time interface. So I also added some brass bits to the Acerocket style pommel, now available at the custom saber shop, but this one is an original Acerocket pommel, I believe. I think that's what I got off FX Saber forums from a member, and added some screws and some brass bits down there. Got the recessed buttons here for the activation and the auxiliary. Retention screw here holding on this guard. There's the recharge port. And I really like this piece of copper here. I have a set screw. It's like a pretty fat set screw, just in line with things here, holding on that copper, holding on the neck. And let's see if you could tell here. There's the DIN plug down in the blade socket. It's a pretty deep blade socket. I really like this elegant looking blade holder from the custom saber shop, and I'm glad we got to use it on Steven's lightsaber here. I added a screw from a bike valve in brass to go along with the other brass accents. And the 8-pin DIN plug, which is the same one. The female side I put in the emitter in the hilt, and the male side used for the blade. This is Steven's blade. It's a Photon blade with a pointed tip. And I got the LED, the first LED there, actually drilled into the tip for extra brightness. So this is a chemical blade. This will react a little bit brighter, a lot brighter in using the blue LEDs. And this is what the blade bottom looks like for him. So he'll just slide this down into that blade holder and align those pins. And once there's a mark on this blade from the blade retention, the brass blade retention, then you'll know, which side to kind of slide it in. You could also see the screw here on the end of the DIN plug there. That signifies where the bottom is, so you can tell. So this blade has over 100 blue LEDs, which are going to react with the green Photon here for like a weird green color that I'll show you with the blade in. And it also has a strip of cool white LEDs for sort of a yellowy white flash on clash. And this is a 1-inch blade. It's going to go into that socket there with the thin wall. There you can see the bottom of the blade. So I'm also going to show you guys the blue blade in the saber, because it kind of goes along with the theme of like Obi-Wan and Luke, and this blade just looks really good in it. This one is the enhanced tube from the custom saber shop in blue, which is looks like a really light blue along with the tip. This one also has a recessed LED, or a protruding LED in the tip for a brighter tip, but this is the round tip. And this has the same DIN, but just a black DIN plug, the same make basically. And this one has a RGB strip for the flash on clash, which actually it's kind of hard to tell. I expected some weirder results when it was in there, but I think I have to tune the crystal focus a little differently to get a weird effect that I'm going for with this. But I'll show you guys right now with the blade in. But first let me just turn it on and show you guys this grip close up, because it's just crazy. So when you do a lockup, everything's gonna go wild. And just reacts in crazy ways because of the RGB LEDs in there. It's always going to be kind of different. So there's just a pod that I made in there, housing all the LEDs. There's one on each side here, with a white LED up here at the, there's 6 inlets here. And then there's a white LED up at the top for the 7th segment, but each of the 6 here has actually 2 LEDs going for it. This is also a super loud saber, maybe the loudest I've ever made. Part of that has to do with that nice Acerocket pommel that I have recessed up to the belt clip here, and the speaker's up at the top of it, so it actually resonates a lot. And maybe with these vents here too, there's just a lot more great sound and really pure sound coming from this one. So while I'm here with the close-up, let me just show Steven real quick how to get to the SD card. What you want to do is just put the the kill key back in when you're going to remove the SD card. Just turn off the pommel. And let's see if there's enough light to see. I should grab a little flashlight. Grab a little flashlight there. Okay, so you have the card right there. Then you just, push it with a pencil or pliers and remove it very carefully with pliers. And then when you're done changing your settings and stuff like that, which most of them can be done through that R.I.C.E port I showed you, but if you want to change the fonts and things, you're going to have to go into there. And then just be really careful putting this pommel back on, that no wires gets pinched there, and that it's very straight because of the way I have this outer shroud. That has to go in. And then be careful when you're turning it. If you feel something resist, just back off, maybe adjust the way the wires were there. And I want to show you the songs. It might become a problem with YouTube, but I'm not going to play too much of it. Okay, so we're at the 7th sound bank here. So I just love the way that goes along with the music, and also the blade will go up and down with the music here too. You could always just pop ahead to the next song. It's like a little equalizer built into the Plecter Labs Crystal Focus. It's pretty sweet. It's one of my favorite parts of that. One of my favorite sound banks is the tracks. So you can have the saber on display, and with the string blade, you have the string blade going up and down along with this too. Okay, so when you pull the kill key, the first font is going to be Heirloom.
This is the weapon of the Jedi Knight.
And just got the blue blade in just to show you guys this one. The second font is Bespin 2.
I call it. What's in there? Only what you take with you.
Try to give you a bunch of like Luke style fonts and cool fonts. And then some good quotes from the Alex Gordon Intergalactic Boot Disc. Bespin's got a really great sound. Mad Cow really did a great job with that one.
What's in there?
Okay, so for font number 3, I have Dan Terry by Lord Blako.
Bond, can you read my
Ron Terry. Okay, I'm going to show you guys with Steven's blade. You got the Photon. And the Photon has the same LEDs that I just showed you. They are those blue LEDs in that blade, only Steven's blade just has a Photon blade on there, and also a different type of FOC strip, a white strip. And you'll see the weird effect, it doesn't look blue anymore. It's green. It's like a super bright green. Okay, this one's Skywalker, Return of the Jedi.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So this really goes along with the theme of this lightsaber, which looks a lot like Luke's from Return of the Jedi. And you got like a color just like Luke has. So now you'll see some of the fonts on here I have set through the R.I.C.E to have the blaster block be a random type of thing along the blade. And some of the fonts just don't have that. You could change that setting. You go from 0 to a 7 or any number in between, you know, to change that.
Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Okay, so this font number 5 is Corellian.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
This one just sounds great as well. Okay, this next one, the last font on here is number 6, and this is Finn by Lord Blako as well, I believe. He wanted one episode 7 font on here, so I have a little bit of a mix here in this font.